Hi guys, I'm Chetan Verma and I'm Flutter mentor at IOSD. So let's begin. Today we'll be building Spotify clone. As you can see, I have a few screenshots from various devices, and Spotify we'll be focusing more on UI part today. So let's get started. First of all, let me just it's a good practice. I would recommend that if you are building a Flutter project, the first thing you should do is create a layout in your mind about the widgets, about the layout of the widgets you're going to use, because in Flutter it's just the play of widgets. So you need to select some good widgets to make things better for you. So let's get started. First of all, we will be building the home page. As you can see, the home page consists of a column, the recently played text, and then some images, then and this is a search column, hip hop, classical, electronic, dangoods, genres. Okay, so let's get started. Let me just delete all of this stuff. Home, let me just say home page, and since you can see that the background theme of the Spotify is dark, I'm gonna make things easier and select the theme data dark option. It will automatically create the dark theme in the background. So let's get forward. For starting, let's just create this stateless widget, and inside the usually widget build option, I think it would be better if I convert it to stateful widget. You will know why I converted it into stateful widget. For this widget, let me return the scaffold. Inside the body of the scaffold, let me just take I will create a function later. For now, let me just name it as show, and in the bottom navigation bar I'll be using theme, and inside the name parameter data of the theme I'll be using data theme dot copy with name parameter dot copy with, and as you can see, there is a lot of name parameters in theme. We'll be using canvas color because this name parameter of the theme canvas color will set the color according to whatever you will write, but it will set the color whatever child you're gonna place in it. So let me just take bottom navigation bar. Here it is, and as you can see, inside the bottom navigation bar, the main name parameter of the bottom navigation bar is items, in which all the items of bottom navigation bar is gonna hold. So let me just create bottom navigation bar item. For icon, let me just take icons.home because it's the first, and for the remaining it has also name parameter of, I guess, title. Yes, title, and inside the title I'm gonna write home. I'll be creating few more. As you can see, there is a home, search, your librarian premium section. So let me just copy and write search, also changing the bottom navigation bar icon here. Since the Spotify icons, companies such as Spotify, large companies usually creates their own icons, so it's a little bit difficult to find the exact same icons. So we'll be just a little bit compromising today, and your library. Okay, so we are almost done. And for the last icon, as you can see in the premium, I'm gonna go to the fluttericon.com website and let's just try if we can find. Oh yes, we can find. You know the Spotify icon. We can find it is in the Font Awesome library. So another recommendation, if you're working in Flutter, the two best friends you've got is Flutter documentation and pub.dartlang.org. You can find anything that is related to Flutter. So I'm gonna write Font Awesome, see if I can find any package. Yes, it is. So let me just go to installing and copying its dependencies. Opening up pubspec.yml file, pasting the dependency here, packages get. Meanwhile, the packages in being get, I'm gonna copy the import file, we can say the header file usually, and pasting it right here. So now if I use Font Awesome icons Spotify, hopefully we can get the required, the icon. Let me just write it premium. There are a lot of name parameters of the bottom navigation bar. Let me just quickly use them. So there is a current index which will set the index, let me just define an index. So what the value for index will be, the bottom navigation bar will select that particular icon. So selected, show unselected labels. Let me just try to, and I'm filling the name parameters. White 54 would be okay, and selected item color, colors dot white. I think we're almost at. Oh yes, on tap feature, which would play a pretty big role in the navigation part. So inside set state, that's why you can see I have used stateful widget, because I wanted to use set state option, because it will change the value of index according to whatever the user will press the icon. So if the user pressed home, then changing that value will be stored in variable x, and index will get it, and according to that we will be displaying the show function, which I declared earlier, but we defining it later. So calling here only index and passing the value index. Okay, so we are done with bottom navigation bar and almost the main file. And let me just now it's time to define the widget show. So inside widget show, I will be using switch case and switch, which will depend on the value index. And for case 0, let me return main page, which will be the home page of the Spotify. Brick. Case 1, returning search page. So we are done with the show function. Now let me just create files. New file. Let me name as main page dart. Importing Flutter package. Creating a main page. For now, I'll be extends stateless widget. we'll be converting into stateful widget because we need to use the more properties of stateful widget later on. This is let me just return the center whose child will be a text and saying main page. Okay, and let me just copy it, creating few more files. Search dot for now, pasting as it is, and naming library dot. Now this lecture would be focusing more on the UI part. If you want me to extend this, if you want me to add more functionalities to this tutorial or this web series, you can tell me out in the comment section. It's just almost done. Let me create the last file. Premium.tar. And in the importing all the files, so we would get rid of the all errors. Importing search, importing library, and lastly premium.art. So I guess I will be free of any errors. Yes, I am free of all the errors. So let me just quickly reload. Okay. Unreachable, that's okay, so yes, it's running. Meanwhile, let's just focus on what we'll be doing. The most important thing I think in the Spotify is, as you can see in the background, it is a beautiful gradient color, the black background and some portion of the light bluish shade, and inside it's light whitish, off-white I would say, but it's the main part. And there is a resource, for if you want to use gradient colors, I would recommend, this is the best site I've ever seen, UI gradients. You can find all the gradients color you want, ranging from blue and every color, almost you can get every color. So we'll be using, I have found particularly some colors for the background theme of the Spotify. And also you can, from the brandcolors.net website, you can also select the particular, the colors that the company uses. Like in the brand colors, I've searched Spotify and I got two main colors, that is green and black. So I'll be using, I just need a little more time. Let me just, so I can get the hex code of these both, and you can find a lot of various good colors. I have also, just different. I have just used the snipping tool to, build some widgets. Oh, sorry. I have used snipping tool. So let's just continue with the main page. So in the main page, I'll be just returning a container. As I told you earlier, you should create a layout. So I'll be using a container. I'll be inserting all the widgets inside of it. So before beginning, another quick tip for the gradient color, I'll be using the decoration property of the container and decoration box decoration. And inside you can use the name parameter gradient, and for the linear gradient, as you can see, the main parameters are colors, which will be deciding what color we will be wanted. So you can easily put in there. And for I have previously found a RGBO quite similar to Spotify greenish tone. So let me just quickly write that. For the opacity part, it's not necessary you need to write the opacity or set the opacity. You can do it whatever you want. Just for the fun, I am using 7%. For the background, I'll be using the hex code which I found from the brand url.com, and it is 191414. So let's quickly reloading. So since it's not at all similar to the Spotify gradient tone, just because you have not set the actual the parameters begin and end, both of these will help you just set the gradient curve according to your choice. So let's just begin. As you can see, it's from the top left, starting from the beginning from the top left. So let me just do the same. Top left, and for the end I'll be using fractional offset property. Just fractional offset just do nothing but just set the x and y axis according to which it sets a curve. So let's just write 0.3. Quickly reloading. This just looks pretty much similar. I think it will do just fine. So you can use any gradient color code. Instead of green, you can use blue. You can find it on uigradient.com file. And paste this just the hex code here, and you can do many things you want. So quickly moving. So now we'll be focusing on the actual UI part. So the child of container, I'll be using a list view. It will create all the widgets in a list view, and you can also scroll them. Inside its children, I'll be using single child scroll view, and its scroll direction would be axis or vertical. You can scroll it vertically. And column, inside the column I will be fixing cross axis alignment to the center, because all of the things in the Spotify main page is center aligned. So let me just do the same. And inside the children, let me just first use a container. Inside the container, I'll be fixing height. Let's say 250. You can start with anything you want, but let me just start with 250. And inside the height, okay, so child, again a column. So children, and first I will use the text widget and will write recently played, and styling it a bit, text style. Let me just first quickly use the color white with opacity, because it will just do it will bring out the color a bit alive and fresh. And font size, this quickly reloading it. Okay, so it's a bit top, so let me use padding. Or rather than, yeah, EV, I think it's pretty much not harmful if we use padding in here, not all. 45. Yeah, it's looking good. But you can see, the font is not like I want it. So there's a great property in Flutter. You can use the custom font like I have done. This for using the custom font, you need to just download the TTF file of that particular font and place it in the create a font folder and paste the TTF file inside of the folder, and in the pubspec.yaml file you need to define the font. Let me okay, yes, so just deleting all of those. You can name the family of font or whatever you want. It's not some particular rule. So let me just Spotify font, and inside the font's asset in the asset property you need to just tell the path of the .ttf file you have downloaded. So I have done there, and also in the assets I have write the images path, all of the images part I'll be using. So back to the main page, and since I have done the syntax part of the font family, let me just write font family. I have used Spotify font. Let me just quickly recheck. Yes, Spotify font it is. So let me quickly reload. Get dependency first. You can increase let me just increase the font size. Yeah, so as you can see, it's pretty much similar. You can also the font I've chosen is quite similar to the font the existing Spotify app has. Let me just create in bold. Yes, now it looks almost similar. So okay, continuing with our, let me just padding widget, which will create a bit of space. Okay, so for further another container, you can optimize a lot of this code, but since we are focusing more on UI part, another error you can see here, the bottom navigation bar does not look so much aligned. So there is a name parameter in the bottom navigation bar known as type. You can bottom navigation bar, there are two type of bottom navigation bar alignment. You can do fixed or shifting. Let me do fixed here and think that will do the work for us. Yes, now it's perfectly aligned. Back to the main page. Inside this container, let me just create its height. This is 65. I think it will do just fine. And inside the child, I'll be using list view builder. Now it's important to understand the fact that while list view and list view builder are used separately, just keep in mind that if you want to just load the data all at once, you can use list view. But if you want the data to be loaded as when the user scroll towards it, then you can use list view builder, because it will generate the data as the user scroll into it. So inside the item count, let me just 10, scroll direction, axis dot horizontal. I wanted to horizontally scroll it. And for the item builder, the main thing, it contains two name arguments, build context and int index. So here I'll be returning a column. You'll know just why I have done that. children. Okay, let me just correct it. Yes. Inside the column, I'll be first using a sized box. You'll know just in a second why I use size box instead of container or expanded widget. Let me just quickly 100. Let me just take this 100 and its child image dot asset, and I have already let's just quickly recheck. Yes, it is correct. Okay, and it's a good thing, if it's a good practice if you just change the parameter fit of the image asset to whatever thing you want. Yes, you can see. So let me just remove. I don't think we would be needing that. I think what I instead of using padding in the container, let me just quickly remove it, and outside the container let me just do the padding thing. I think this will do the work. Okay, I think I'm getting sort of what. Okay, so there's a lot of gap between recently played and the image. Let me just quickly remove it. Yes, as expected, if you create an unbounded height you will get these sort of errors. Let me just quickly do this. I think the size box height is troubling us. Let me just quickly remove. Okay. If it's another good practice if you are finding a bit trouble about the actual size of container is taking, you can use okay, so for this part, let me just dot blue. I'm doing just because I need to check all the things are working fine. Yes, I have found the error. You can do these sort of things it's a better practice if you are getting errors like these. Just select the color of the container and you will get the exact location you are having trouble. So I was getting trouble at this point. Now if I redone, yeah, just perfectly fine. Let me just remove the color part. If I now quickly reload, yes. Now you can see there is a little gap between the images, so let me just increase the width of the, it will do the okay, and a bit height as well. Yes, I think it is pretty much similar to the Spotify. Yes, yeah, it looks perfectly fine to me, as you can scroll as well as you can do in actual Spotify app. So let's continue. We have built the first list view builder with axis horizontal. Let's continue with the next section. Let me add some padding first. it would create some amount of space between the multiple cards or images we will be using. So continuing with the container, its child column. Inside the column, in the first children of the column, I would place according to this image. It is a text made for you. So let's just do that. Text made for you. Again, the same process of styling as we have done before. Text style, and inside font family, let's just copy this stuff because it's similar. We will be using, so instead of recently played, made for you, I think it would look just fine. Yes, as you can see, made for you. Let me just remove padding a little bit. Okay, so now below the made for you, there is a large image that the songs you love most this year. Spotify does that. It just changes. I create a playlist for you, so let's just do that. Again, a size box, and I'm gonna make it a square by fixing its height and width. And inside the child, image.asset, and the asset image I will be using. I think this image is selected in the main page. And just fitting it inside box fit.fill. It would expand this image according to the size whatever you have written. Yes, yeah, it looks pretty good here. And then below this image there is some sort of text, so let's just do that. Text songs you love most this year, all wrapped up. Songs you love most this year. Wrapped up. And again the styling part, which we're doing almost similar as we have done before. Its color would be colors.white, but not just white, a little bit light or gray shade of white. Let's just like white 17. Font size would be a little bit less than we usually do, and again font family, Spotify font. Yes, and also we can text align dot center. Yeah, it looks really nice. As you can see, the songs you love most this year is all wrapped up. It looks almost similar. In fact, it is similar. And one thing I forgot to do that in just below the image. This is Eminem. Usually there is written text about what the album denotes. So let me just do that. Inside the column of first container that we've used, text, this is Eminem, and again the styling part, which I'll just style. Textile under textile color. Colors dot white with opacity. It will just bring out the color. And font family again. Spotify font. It's another recommendation in the theme widget of the initial material app. You can also fix the font family there also, but it's okay since we are focusing more on UI part. I think it would be okay to do that. And font size, let's just carry on with 10. Let's just see what do we got. Yeah, I think it looks nice. A little bit padding. Not too much. Let's just say 5. Yeah, I think it's look pretty decent. Okay, so carrying on to the last section of the main page. For the last section, let me just copy this stuff because we'll be using it again from here. Okay, so just below this container, I would place that. Try to run it. Yes, you can see. So for this, let me just say, instead of recently played recommendation, because Spotify does do that, it from your previously listened songs, it creates a recommendation playlist. And for the image, let's just create a list of images. I'll be using, let's just say, image URL, and it would be consisting of main page, and you can select many images if you want. In the list, I will be just doing this, creating a list. And copying it. So okay, so now in the image asset we can just place the URL of this image, image URL at particular index, and it would just just fit those images. So if I rerun, yes, you can see, and this error is generally because we have not checked the image count, since we have selected 10 but we have only 8 images. So I am gonna set this image count to image URL dot length, so it would just reformat the code according to the length of the image URL list, and it would display the list according to this, and also a text widget, text list for the bottom text. Instead of this is minimum, I will be writing text, and it would contain this and today's top hits. So if I now reload, and just like similar we have done for images, txt index. Now it would, yes, as you can see, inside of this is Billie Eilish playlist. This is gonna write and today's top hit. So we have done the main page of the Spotify, and it looks almost similar to the actual Spotify main page. So let's just focus on what we have done here. Quick recap: we have done a gradient color background, and the color code you can find online. And we have created a column. Inside we have recently played and a list view builder, which will build the list as according to the user, as user will scroll. And the images are from the asset folder, and also the font of the text I have used. I have downloaded the TTF file and placed it right there. And then the column widget, which will contain made for use section and recommendation section. So let's just continue with our let's move on to the search page. For the search, as you can see, the search page, text, artist, songs, or postcard, is a search section in which you can tab and just select and write the song or playlist and many more. And just below that, there is a grid view with a cross-axis count 2. That means only 2 images can fit at one time. So we're gonna build that, but just before, let's just focus on again the gradient part. We will be doing just similar as we have done here. So for the gradient part, I will be using some different color codes. I have copied it from the net. You can also found it at UI gradients. Oh yes, I got that, but we are getting errors. So center text. Yes, so as you can see, a lot. We need to do a little more of that. So, and the fractional offset, they just change y-axis and x-axis a little bit. By shifting x-axis and y-axis a little bit, as you can see here, the color, the color portion is now extended towards the more towards the center. No, let me just change the y-axis. Just changing x-axis and y-axis a bit. I think it was good. So as you can see, we have just copied the similar looking like gradient color as we have on the search section. Now let's just move on to the body part. So inside again, I will be using, just like I've done in the previous section, list view. Inside the list view, children, single child scroll view, single child axis, scroll direction, which would be vertical, so the user can scroll through it vertically. And it's child column, children. So at first I would use padding widget just to get some space. container, which will hold the text. Search, and again the styling part. It is, just let me just pop it, just not to waste time. The text part would just be the same. There's no such change, just minimal. And let me just increase the font. Yes, as you can see, it looks quite amazing and quite similar to the actual Spotify search text. So I've done with the search. Now for the next step, since I am focusing more on the UI part, I will be doing a container instead of actual search box. If you want me to do the actual implementation of search, you can tell me out at the comment section. For the UI part, as I'm focusing more on it, let's just create first and padding edge insets all 10.0, and I'll be using a card widget, just to create a card. And for the card, there are a lot of name parameters of the card, but for what I need is there are a lot of name parameters, but as you can see at the bottom, at this corner section, it is slightly bent down. So we can do that by fixing the shape of the card widget. Let's just say in the Flutter you can have rounded rectangle border that would just do the thing which we want. Inside the rounded rectangle border, the border radius name parameter, let's set to circle, and for let's just say 10, and inside I'm going to use clip behavior. I will just in a moment tell why I'm using it. Anti-alias. So clip behavior name parameter with the property clip.anti-alias, it would just create smooth edges across the corners, as you can see here, not just like actual square. This property will create smooth edges which we want. And inside the child of card, I'm going to use container. Let me just fix it, height 100.100 and width. For now I'm just doing a square so to show you what actually a card widget is doing. Yes, you can see here the rounded edges are a bit quite more, so let me just reduce it and making it a rectangle like Spotify have done. So 50, and let's just say 330 rather than size. As you can see, it looks nice actually. So let's just increase its width. It looks quite nice. Just as we wanted here. And inside this container, let me just take a child row. Dot center. Children. First I will be using an icon, which should be icon.search, and then text artist, and inside the styling part, text style, color, let's just say colors.black. Try to run it, and also here icon colors.black. Yes, you can see here I have got this. Now increasing font size a bit, it looks nice. A little padding, so to create the space amongst these two. Yes, I think I have done it just okay. So, and also copying this, as we have got an artist section, songs or podcasts, so let me just quickly do that also. Artists, songs or podcasts. So let me quickly run it. Yes, I think it looks pretty similar. One thing I think I forgot, font family, which I've done at, almost at all sections. Let me just copy this stuff. Now quickly reload it. Yes, you can see here. And this is the most important part. Now I'll be using a padding at concentrated place only by using enginsert.only and left. Let me just quickly, so let's just see 40. Yeah. Now you can see the search bar is almost similar to the what we have seen at the Spotify. So let's continue with the bottom section. Now in the bottom section, you can see the different cards are being shown by the Spotify. Now let me tell you, the company like Spotify and many big national companies, they have actually a team of beautiful developers that create such cards manually and using Adobe Photoshop and all and many other tools. So it is just quite hard to get the exact image of that card. I'll be using again snipping tool, but let me tell you a bit later why I'm doing that. So container is after the card, again the padding widget. We will be using a lot of padding widgets just because to get the perfect layout of Spotify clone. And inside, let me just do inside the child column and the cross-axis alignment, let's just say it would be at the start, because you can see that your top joints is just at the starting. So children, first text, let me just copy this stuff because we'll be needing it again and again. The styling part, your just wrap it into an alignment section, the new widget align, and inside the alignment property, let's just say alignment dot top left. It would just shift to your top genres. Yes, that's what I was talking about. It looks nice, and yes, again similar to Spotify. And inside the column, now let's just continue with the grid section. Now for the grid section, you can use grid view, and it contains a lot of custom constructors like grid view, .builder, .count, .custom, .extend. Now let me just tell you the difference between all of these. Just like list view builder and list view, the difference between this them is also just same with grid view.builder and grid view.count. Grid view.count will tell the create a grid according to whatever you have set the count parameter, and grid view builder will generate the grid view as the user scroll into it. So let me just, it's always better practice to use grid view builder and list view builder. So let me just, inside the grid view builder there are a lot of name parameters. So let me just like item count, for now let's just say 3, and oops, it just contains only integer part, and there is grid delegate. Inside the grid delegate there is an option sliver grid delegate with fixed count. Now it would just create the number of images or the thing in the grid, like, in the screen of the phone as we have specified 2. It would create 2 in a column 2 grid view, and inside also let's just say Springtrap. This is the most important property of the grid view if you're using it in the column, because if you don't select Springtrap, if you don't set Springtrap true, it is just default false, and it would create a maximum space it can take, which usually let in an overflow. So and also scroll controller, which would be scroll controller, and keep offset false. This is all the name parameters of the grid view builder. Now for the main part, item builder, that will just build our okay, so item builder, and inside the item builder I'm gonna return the images which I have found using the snipping tool. So inside let's just say card, and the shape and the clip behavior of the card I'm gonna using the same as I've done before. So inside the card, and it's child image dot asset. Let's just select the image which I have found using the snipping tool, and yes, you can see, and just below the card let's wrap it under another new widget which usually used with the grid view, that is grid tile. So inside the grid tile, inside the grid I am gonna paste that, and as you can see, if I try to reload that, it would just create me, and inside let's just do if I wrap it the card inside the padding widget and just set h search.all, let's say 10. So what I wanted to tell you is whatever the size of the image you would select, and also inside just let me just do this before the margin sort symmetric vertical 16 of this, and so we have done 2 pages from now, the home page and the search page, and I think it looks almost similar. If you will see the gradient, the column, the images, the search container, the cards, the grid view. Let's just do icing on the this project. So in the pubspec.yml I want to just change the default Flutter icon. So for that let me just import a package, Flutter launcher icons, and below that Flutter icons image path, and this path would be containing the image path of your selected icon. So in the asset folder I have already have stored some image, and let me for just enabling in the Android and iOS packages.get. So while it's building, yes, I think it's done. So let's just rerun the app. So we would get before rerunning, there is a command line you have to write whenever you change your if you want to change your app icon. So it is flutter pub run flutter underscore launcher underscore icons :main, and you have to press enter. So it would just it would right, yes, so it has successfully deleted and overwritten the original Spotify icon. So let me just rerun the app. Flutter run. Now while it's being launching in the iPhone, let's just focus on what we have done till now. So for the UI gradient, we have copied some beautiful color gradient hex code in pub.dartlang. We have copied, if you want to also, you can have it right away when you are using Flutter, because all the packages that Flutter uses, it contains Flutter docs for any documentation of any, widgets you want, and brand colors. Also, if you haven't seen the previous video on WhatsApp clone we have done in this series, you can watch that also, and also you can watch the previous Flutter series on this channel. We have made a Flutter series just for you people. So yes, we have done with the stuff. As you can see, the icon Spotify as we have wanted, we have got here. So from this code you can change the app icon also, and if you want to change the WhatsApp icon, you can also do it the same way. Just download the WhatsApp logo, place it in the asset folder, and the code is here. You can also get the link to the URL we will provide. So that's it for this video. And also we have done the Spotify clone. For the UI part, if you want more implementation, you can tell me out at the comment section. Stay tuned for this one day build series. The next video will launch on the next Monday. And you can also tell in the comment section if you want any more development to this series. That's it for today. Thank you.